And hey, what's up? This is Wilson with Abysmal Hymns, and I got Lard back with me today. We are going to talk about something that I found extremely amusing, and it's hard not to talk about it. And funny enough, I haven't really talked about Satanism a lot. So this is the bipartisanship of Satan. Um, I was watching this video, and it was Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones, and they went off on a tangent about, how the left side of the fence was involved in this big satanic I wouldn't call it conspiracy. Well, maybe they see it that way. Anyway, everything was satanically organized against them. And Alex Jones has been on this tip for a while, although, it's funny, I think that he's taken a more increasingly Christian slant. I don't know if he's doing less cocaine or whatever, but and to be fair, that the satanic panic in the 80s and all of that, a lot of that was, there's that whole Christian side of the that fence on the right hand side. Which, that's been my main complaint against them is, there's a lot of Jesus freaks over there. Um, and then like right after watching that, I was got all these alerts about these Spencer Sunshine videos. And he's not alone in this. There's it's part of the Great American Witch Hunt is that everybody's a Nazi. And so he was drawing conclusions on how these satanic organizations and all of this are also Satanists. So it's just like, well, what side are we on? And that's what we're going to try to figure out is where is it? Is it a partisan thing? Is it on one side or the other? Or maybe it's Satan's a libertarian. I don't, that's a possibility too. I don't really see a huge chance of that. But I mean, personal responsibility is a huge thing in certain schools of thought. So I will also say that, we're not just going to go with Anton LaVey's definition of Satanism, although that's probably the most logical one. I'm open to other schools of thought on that matter. I think that it clearly does line up with this be your best self, be the strongest person you can be. Um, and that's where it parts ways with a lot of this other. But what about the weak people? So yeah, so
Them.
them, the us and the them. But there's always an us and them. So yeah, so what are your thoughts on this, Lord?
Yeah, well, thank you first of all for having me back. And if you're just tuning in, I'm Lard and Lard Labs. Welcome. So it's interesting. When you sent me those videos, first of all, I just have to say the fact that Alex Jones claims that DMT elves are instructing people to murder people, it was like he lost me immediately. Like I have never, in any of my research, because I have not done DMT myself, ever heard anyone say or read that the DMT elves told them to murder humanity. So, okay, that was like a huge pet peeve. In terms of the topic of Satanism, I'm so glad that you brought up Anton LaVey because there are different sects of Satanism. It's like, what do you believe? How are we defining it? On one side, Satan is a deity, devil worship, you know, puts them almost godlike, like God from Christianity. Or there's the other side. It's about free thought, individualism, putting yourself first. So, but what I thought was fascinating is I did a little refresh because these terms are sort of thrown around and we just accept that everybody agrees on what they mean. And I happened to discover that I somewhere along the lines was told or read and just believed it for face value. So I like to think maybe this was before social media or before like information was so available. But I was convinced up until yesterday that Satan was a stolen word from Persian language to mean to question, and it turns out that's not true. That's like fringe conspiracy, and that it's actually taken from Hebrew as sort of like opposer or aggressor. And I was like, wow, how fascinating. So here we are, like these different podcasts arguing about these terms that they don't even define, and we don't know from which camp they're coming from. So I just like the propaganda machine in my own brain was, I got like very excited. Um, anyway, so I'm gonna simplify and speak from the context that Satan is an opposer versus a deity. And so Alex Jones, going back to Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, if Alex Jones now is a super Christian, anyone that doesn't fall into his traditional values becomes an opposer. And then, yes, you could say the Rainbow Brigade is satanic. But to me, when I think of Satan, I do individual thought, but then I also think about the violence that is allowed within that sect. You know, where they don't, I would say Satanists don't shy away from violence. It can be necessary and therefore accepted. Um, which was interesting about the other YouTube that you shared, because the certain sects of Satanism through the heathenists that they were getting into were extremely violent and actually had murdered people. And so to me, I'm like, well, they actually practice what they preach versus putting on a rainbow costume and just pissing off the Christians, you know?
Right. Which, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think everybody knows my thoughts on the whole Temple of Satan thing, which was really just a political organization that liked to dress up for Halloween. And a lot of people will think that that is satanic, and there, it creates a lot of confusion. That was a big thing. They were putting up all those Baphomet statues everywhere, and that made the news. So then that kind of
Set the tone.
created yeah, very micro satanic panic. Um,
I gotta say, I did enjoy that though.
yeah,
I I'm guilty if an organization, a person, a group, band, whatever, does things purposely because they know it's gonna piss off or annoy another group. My sadistic side is like, you know. But is that the end all be all for what Satan is? No.
no, in fact, I felt that if you look at what they like champion, they're pretty much like Christians,
Yeah.
They're like, we need to be more empathetic. We need to be
Mm-hmm.
protecting these people that can't protect themselves, and we need to fight for the meek shall inherit the earth. Is basically what I hear them saying. It sounds like the Sermon on the Mount, and I'm
It,
like,
yeah, Jesus with lipstick on and a wig.
right. Which, that could be a thing too.
Yeah,
And then we have the satanic Jesus is a nut whole. Then we get into a whole nother thing. Like I probably showed you those Amon Hillman videos where he's on Danny Jones and he's the Greek scholar that's talking about, how Jesus used um people under the age of 12, since this is YouTube, for as you know, to suck energy from, and was, basically the Epstein of his day, and
oh no.
and how it was all tied into a serpent cult, and it goes down a humongous rabbit hole. It's pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And then, if we're like totally unpacking all the conspiracies around this, that then there's the one that the Vatican's actually a satanic organization
That I do
that,
like one blood cult. Yeah.
yeah.
I've actually recently gone down that in my own research with the essay I recently did titled Blasphemy, that modern day Christians actually worship or not disciples, sorry, actually worship Paul and not Jesus. And in fact, if you are a follower of Jesus and don't accept Paul, that you are satanic, which I was
Okay.
like, who knew following Jesus would make you a Satanist in the modern day world?
And we're going off of Paul, the from the New Testament. It would be
Yeah.
better if it was Paul Rubens, if you don't if you don't worship Paul Rubens. That's I know you are, but what am I? But so the it kind of goes also, there's this other thing where it's funny because that whole Vatican thing comes from like different sources. And the Vatican's huge in politics. I mean, I think there's theories that they're actually the cover for Rome, that the Roman Empire didn't fall, and they just rebranded as the Vatican, and
Thanks, totally.
they're actually ruling everything still.
Yeah.
Um, I
But
think,
actually, can they? I didn't JD Vance kill the Pope?
did he kill the Pope?
Didn't that wasn't that the recent conspiracy? He like met the Pope and then the next day,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's like a Hydra. They just want
America.
you kill one pope and it's hit. And maybe he knew, maybe he was on. He got tipped off by Alex Jones and
Yes,
was on the secret
he
crusade
licked one
against
of the
Satan.
frogs.
Yeah, he got the DMT elves were really chatting
Yeah,
him up that day. Because if they tell you, I mean, that's you're hitting level 9 elf there. Who's this? Kill the
yeah. I
Pope.
really want to know what level he's talking about because what I've heard of the most extreme is the elves are like, "What the fuck are you doing here? You are not welcome here. Stop
Now,
coming to our home."
I have heard that there are like prankster elves that are like wearing jester hats and things like
Yeah.
that. And they're like, can't come. You're not supposed to be here. Um, and I mean, the time that I did it, I was just like flying over this crystal city, and
Uh-huh.
there were all these grays who, in
Oh.
some YouTube videos, grays are also demons. And they were waving like, "Oh yeah, there you are again." Like, and there was a sense that I'd already been there before, and
Interesting.
that they already knew me, and they're like, well, it's about time you got back here." Um,
I just picture the from Toy Story, all the little aliens in the claw machine
yeah,
when he's like
I come
flying up
down
the top.
the arm.
Yeah, there he goes. Um, yeah, it's just this idea that Satan is somehow owned by either the right or the left. Anytime a conversation starts like that, I start to wonder, like, what is the agenda here? Because again, one of the things about the specifically Alex Jones and this Christian hysteria propaganda to make Satan be owned by the left, I'm like, what are you hiding? Because again, if sure, for the sake of argument, let's say the alphabet soup is satanic, cool.
Mhm.
And we just magically got rid of the entire alphabet soup. Would there be peace on earth? Would
No,
Jesus come back and everybody would be in traditional Zen? The thing is, though, if traditional families only made straight people, then gay people wouldn't exist.
right.
So I
And
can't.
this goes back to the Amon Hillman thing, which is talking about, because Jesus was not hanging out with little girls in his theory.
Oh,
So yeah, so it goes all the way back. And then we have the whole Vatican sex scandal. I don't think that, it's the priests are going for little girls. They're not
that's
altar
right. And
girls,
now that I
you
think
know.
about it, they never. But then again, like priesthood is they do segregate between the sexes.
Right.
So
Um,
but that's good. Why were they doing that?
exactly. Then it seems like the closer you get to God, the closer you are into,
Penis.
homosexuality. Um, I, if you're using that model, if you're saying, okay,
Right,
here's the apples that are falling from this tree,
right
it
into my
must it
mouth.
must be an apple tree, you know. If there were cherries falling from the tree, then I would assume that it was a cherry tree. But that's not what we're getting. Um, so yeah, so there's a lot of convoluted layers to this. And, I like I've also heard and I've obviously been spending too much time on YouTube, but I've also heard that that the whole AI thing, that's the Antichrist,
Yes.
and that is the ultimate satanic goal, is to get rid of humanity and replace it with these um demon cyborgs that and even like I find David Icke to be a more reliable source of information than Alex Jones. He does way less cocaine, and Alex Jones is clearly unmedicated.
He
Um,
just he likes to stir the pot. He's there for the hysteria angle.
right, and I can appreciate that. And one thing too, it kind of goes into my like ancient aliens theory is that the reason that that guy George Tsoukalos or whatever his name is with the wild hair is on there is so you're like, oh well, this is obviously a joke.
Right. Yeah.
Like he says, Alex Jones says a lot of things that could be on point, but it's the way he says them that makes it seem like a joke. And so some of those people feel like that they're plants, that they were planted
Ooh,
in
well, why
these
not? Yeah,
organizations.
propaganda machine.
Yeah, right. To kind of discredit.
Confuse them with the
So,
truth.
and it could be a subcon, like they might not, it's probably not a case where they met with somebody and they were like, okay, well, you're going to get 10 grand a week to
Right,
go
right,
act
right.
like a clown here.
It was
It's
like, you are a clown. This would be perfect.
right. There's that. And maybe there's no direct communication with whoever their controllers are. It's like an MK Ultra thing. Um,
Yeah.
so they're somehow like I think that's the case with David Icke. I think that once you get into the reptile thing, like everything could gel and make plenty of sense. And then when you get into the shapeshifters, which could still be a thing, I'm not, I'm open to that. But I think that that's where he loses a lot of people. And that people think of David Icke as the reptile guy, not the guy that's like saying all politics are the same thing.
Right, right, right.
Which, I guess that could be a basis that it's just if the Democrats and the Republicans are all the same thing, then it doesn't matter who is the most satanic, unless we're talking about there's two sub organizations within that are, you know, pulling the strings and saying, I think, but you're onto something with the chaos angle. I think that, if you can make people afraid, they tend to ask less questions. Um, so,
Yeah.
so
I mean, I
there's that.
guess it just comes down to how are we, again, our definitions, because plenty of people are performing Satanism, or they say, I'm satanic just to piss off their neighbor, but they don't
Right,
really follow the principles. They just buy the t shirt.
right.
And then there's some people who are literally afraid of everything that think a rainbow is satanic, which is to me like technically rainbows, you know, are God's creation in nature.
Yeah, well, if you're going, that's the thing. You got to stick to your mythology. I don't care what you believe in, but you got to be 100% and stick to your mythology and know it first off. So that was the rainbow was supposed to be the promise that the deity was never going to flood the earth again. Um,
Oh,
yeah, that's where it comes up in that mythology. So
that's not very satanic.
no, I mean, if you don't like rainbows, then maybe you want to flood the earth. I don't know. I
Yeah,
could.
yeah. Maybe you are a satanic
Yeah,
person.
so
Yeah, you're right.
then, yeah,
In
then
denial
then
Satanist.
that's kind of yeah. Then we get into nihilism and which I'm all for. Flood the earth. That's fine.
It needs a bath.
Right. I
We
mean,
are
the polar
technically the
caps are supposed to
parasites.
have been supposed to melt for a while now. So and
Right.
I really been into the whole three eye atlas thing. I have find a lot of hope in that. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I mean, I kind of find that particularly when we get into like the Spencer Sunshine guy. He was on the, if we're gonna have a witch hunt about LGBTQSG, then we're having a witch hunt for Nazis too on the other side. Well, at
Oh
the
yeah,
end of the day,
yeah.
it's
Who cares
people,
if you're trans? If you're a Nazi, scalp them.
right? And then what about when we have both? When we have trans Nazis, you know?
Ah!
Then I think that's where the key could lie. Because then you get them from both ends. Then it's like, well, wait, what am I supposed to do
Yeah,
with this? Which, and maybe that is a thing, because it was funny with all the like the shooters that they had.
yeah.
Um,
The rise in trans
yeah,
shooters, I
everybody,
thought was fantastic. It's like, look at us finally taking over.
right? Then it's,
Look who's the real evil now. Haha, gotcha.
um, yeah. So I mean, that whole thing is kind of baffling. I do hope for the trans Nazis. That could be. I think
If
that's
it
what we
hasn't
need.
already, I think you might have like. I feel like the algorithm monsters, the AI is going to hear that. It's going
Right.
to shoot into the black hole because we haven't collapsed in the black hole yet. So that
That could be
if
the
that is
clearest
not
path.
a is
So if
not a
you're listening to
hashtag,
this, you need to be searching trans Nazis
trans Nazis, trans
in
Nazis,
AI. We
trans
gotta load
Nazis.
that to the mothership. So when Three Eye Atlas gets here,
Hitler
Three
is
Eye
a
Atlas gets here.
trans
If you
man.
want the best seats now, I would say,
It makes sense.
yeah,
Hitler is a trans man.
yeah. Well, I could
100%
see
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah, and it's funny though. I don't know if you've seen the new Ed Gein show.
Oh my goodness. I'm still listening. Yes, I have. I started it.
Because that that
Um,
that show was on the path. It had trans Nazis almost. I mean, we came
that
very close to getting
show,
there.
my alter ego Lard is based on Ed Gein.
Yeah.
Um, but and again, like you hear the names, you hear the stories, but to see it embodied in this TV show, I was like, man, that guy was really creepy. Maybe I should have done a little bit better research before identifying with him.
I
But
mean, Charlie Hunnam did an excellent job. I mean, did you ever watch any of Sons of Anarchy?
yes,
Okay, so you know how he was in Sons of Anarchy.
yeah, but it was just this like soft sort of demeanor that I was like,
Well, that was actually how apparently Ed Gein talked. I had
yeah,
pictured him
yeah,
talking more like, and I'd heard that this was a model after Ed Gein was Billy Bob Thornton's character in Sling Blade.
hmm,
Did you see
okay,
Sling Blade? If you haven't seen
no,
Sling Blade, you got to watch that. Where he's
okay.
like, "You're just a boy. You shouldn't say things like that."
Oh no, no, okay, I have yes, yes, yes.
Yes. So I kind of, because he was a farmer. I mean, granted, it was in Wisconsin, so it probably wasn't as rednecky, but I mean, that.
So are you saying that Ed Gein is a trans Nazi?
Well, just think that was how they kept doing the flashbacks into this Nazi fantasy wonderland he had in his head with Ilsa.
Yeah.
Um, and he was always putting on the underwear, and I don't know, I think they was headed in that direction. I still haven't seen the last episode. I heard that they bring Richard Speck into it. Um, who's a separate serial killer. Which I like him, so I'm looking forward to watching the rest of it. But yeah, so I mean that it can't, it's getting into the public consciousness, I think, you know.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because Ryan Murphy, who did that show, he also did American Horror Story, and he did the one that was on mm, Jeffrey Dahmer. So, yeah, so I mean, he's obviously plugged into the Hollywood mafia. So I think that,
Well, everyone knows Hollywood's satanic, so
right. And that's been a thing too. I mean, remember what was it? It was in 2000, I want to say around 2014, you started hearing about how Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these people were
Right, the
like,
Illuminati angle.
yeah, but that they were performing satanic rituals to do
Hmm.
on the MTV Music Awards, that Doja Cat was doing that, and I guess
Yes.
everybody like that's supposed to be. Madonna was doing it on Super Bowl or something. I don't.
Yeah, yeah. No, I
I'm
do
so,
remember that. Every time you saw an eyeball, you had to go into a panic.
right, and how that was linked to Satanism. So they were just kind of, it was like folklore via the internet, because they were just taking all these, just throwing stuff at the wall to see what stuck. But that was I guess the right was kind of on that bench because they were against Hollywood. Um,
Yeah.
so yes, I don't know, it would be interesting to see, and I guess Spencer Sunshine would probably dig into this at some point, but to see, so where are the ties between like Proud Boys and Satanism and that type of thing? Does that exist, or is it all just Hawaiian shirts? It's hard to say. So,
Yeah, maybe if Satan owns the rainbow, that he does not get the rainbow shirt. I mean the Hawaiian shirt.
yeah, I mean, those are pretty closely intertwined. There's a lot of duality, I think, in these things. And at some point with duality, it all has to come full circle back to the same spot, even with like um the mythologies of Jesus and Satan being the same, or at least Jesus and Lucifer being the same character, because Jesus would say, well, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And he was, it was a case of him being the SON of God versus him being the SUN of
Mm.
God. And then, Lucifer is almost the same as Apollo, so he'd basically be a sun god as well. So all these solar phallic deities are the same. Um, so it would kind of be like depending on what kind of mood you're in, who he's gonna be. It's like, oh well, we like to see him like this, so he's Jesus, but if he's doing bad things, then he's Lucifer. So
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
because
know.
God has to be perfect and like not bad, but somehow encompass everything, and everything is clean and beautiful on one side and evil on the other. As
Right.
if as if death is not a part of life and bad things don't happen. It
Although
could,
now with the simulation and AI mythology getting cranked up, we're starting to hear a lot of people pulling from Gnosticism, which asserts that the creator God is the Old Testament God, and that one's actually evil or malevolent, you know.
yeah, full circle.
Yeah, so and that's the archons. So the archons apparently can't create anything on their own. They can only create carbon copies, which would be
From
kind
what
of
already.
like AI, stuff that already exists. And
Yep,
that
yep.
that's why they don't like people. So I don't know. I would say that we're kind of at a stalemate and that they're both the same thing. Um, would be the best that I can. If you go too far
Yeah, I can't
in either
ascribe
direction,
to one side owns Satan because I feel like that goes against. I mean, if anything, if I was Satan, I'd be like, what morons. We
right?
like play on both sides of the field. We get more people to engage, which what does it bring us back to? What is the benefit of having people in mass hysteria pointing fingers at people that look different from them? It keeps them distracted from, what's really going on. And
Right.
what's really going on? Well, do your research.
Yeah. And then it is the whole kind of irony and people that are like calling everyone fascists. It's like, so wait, so you're saying that if I don't think the same way as you, that would make me a fascist? Well, wouldn't that be fascism too? But yeah, so I don't know. it's just a lot to laugh at. And
Yeah.
if you haven't seen either one of those videos, I highly suggest them just for the entertainment value alone. Um, you know, Spencer Sunshine is he was almost on this show, but when posed the question that how many bands did you find that weren't Nazis was posed, it was a little too much. So
Oh
that's the
no.
thing. If you're looking for it, you're gonna find it. Every card's a winner. That's
Yeah.
it's like the idiot's lottery. So yeah, that has to be extraordinary. But thank you, Lard, for being on here. I
Well,
think that we've solved the problem and come up with the fact that it's all the same.
how about
Um,
this? We'll just say that I'm the Antichrist.
okay, we'll go with that. That works for me. Particularly your AI version.
Yes.
Once we get you embedded into the mothership machine of I think that will firmly solidify your place. Um,
Join my cult.
because it's kind of exactly there we go. So the links to the cult are below, and drink more coffee. Hail Satan.